Sim Racing Dan here with the second video I've made of the ISRA League's GP series. Quickly commenting, I get a little twitchy on the start and get a slow beginning there. This is only the second video I've done of this series because this is the only the second time I've gotten far enough in a race to actually make it worth doing. Initially, there were a lot of people who were really fast, and they set great times, and they were able to maintain them pretty much during the race. And I thought in order to compete, what I'd do is try to match their times. And in order to do that, I had to use setups that were, pretty tricky to drive. And that resulted in me exiting the races within 5 laps. So out of, I think this was our 5th race, I have finished 1 and lasted more than 5 laps twice. So here we are at the start. Obviously, I went for a high downforce setup, nice and stable, slow on the straight, but I was wickedly fast in the corners, catching up with everyone during the front half of the track. I also want to mention I didn't do a Grand Am Series video this week because my first race was a bit of a disaster. I couldn't read the Mustang, so I put myself into the grass a couple times trying to avoid them, and then I spun out and crashed. And the second one was totally boring. I finished in 4th, but the guy ahead of me was 30 seconds ahead of me, and the guy behind me was 30 seconds behind me. So it would have been a really boring video to make. So you'll notice my center screen here is flickering. That was pretty annoying. I've moved it off to the side, but it hasn't happened since. I tried calling about the warranty, and of course, over the phone they wanted me to reproduce it by hooking it up to a DVD player, and it didn't reproduce it then. It didn't reproduce it when I hooked it back up to the computer, so who knows. Okay, enough boring talk. Here we are a couple laps in. Most of the field had gotten far away from me, but I've obviously caught up with one person. We got a spin down in the last turn. I went to the outside, figuring that he was going to continue inside. Thanks to my high downforce set, I had no problems making that. Alex almost went on the inside on turn 1, but wisely backed off. I had, obviously, I didn't even have to brake for turn 1 with my heavy downforce set. I just lifted a little bit, and I went through that at least 20 miles an hour faster than everyone else. Okay, so I let by a pass on the end of the straight, down to the last turn and onto the front straight. And here you can see I actually slowed a little bit because I didn't want to run into the guy ahead of me. So just figured I'd follow him through, get to know his driving pattern since he hadn't been in front of me before. And here we are in the next lap. I don't bother to slow. You can see I'm going 160, yep, there we go. And he goes a little bit too early into turn 3, or maybe he lost under braking, I don't know what, but typical fate with these Formula 1 cars. Tough as hell to drive. Okay, so I seem to have caught up with another person here. And again, I slow a little extra going through the first turn to get used to them, and obviously they are running lower downforce, so they have to slow there. And you could argue that that was a bad strategic decision on my part, that it's a lot easier to pass on the straight than in the turns, and you'd be absolutely right, but my goal here was to finish the race, and that's, even though I didn't achieve that goal, it's still my goal going through with this series, so we'll see what happens next race. Okay, the great thing about having the high downforce setup is if I can catch a draft here, I actually do pretty well. Now, I don't know if he let me by or what, because when I get out of his draft, I still managed to accelerate him. Can't explain that one. Okay, so whoa! I managed to hold on to that again. My stable setup, not a problem holding on to that as I twisted it a little bit too much. Okay, and this is the final part of the video. I go a little bit too bumpy. I didn't let the car settle enough. I got on the gas, and that juice just killed it.